I think the big growth pattern really started from 2004. After we saw the dust settling from the Asian crisis, I think more and more investors across the world started getting used to the region. They started getting comfortable with the fact that the regional growth, the demographic dynamics, the opening up of policies again, and the stability of policy making started giving people confidence. I think this journey took a significant momentum especially post the 2008 crisis. It was very obvious to us as an institution the number of phone calls we would get from 2009 from global institutions probably increased, I would say probably by 100 times. And it's very, very interesting to see how somebody in Malaysia wants to invest in Indonesia, or somebody in Indonesia wanting to invest in Singapore, or a Thai fund investing into Korea. And it's a very, very interesting dynamic which has played out. There are huge challenges in, obviously taking this forward for us. The most basic challenge is actually far more simpler, to my opinion, than what I think is, been talked about so far. And the most basic challenge is infrastructure. And by infrastructure, what amazes me is, why don't we have an Asia Clear? If you look at the big growth in the Eurobond market, the evolution of Euroclear has had a very, very significant role in the ease of operation, the speed of operation in the growth of that market. If we look at our own bonds, Thailand, for example, the Thai bonds are today Euro-clearable. There are 4 countries in Asia whose bonds are Euro-clearable. With the evolution of RMB, a few issuers have started making their local currency corporate bonds Euro-clearable. But it's a massive challenge. The coordination of time zone, the synchronization of activity is just not feasible. It's not efficient. And efficiency is probably the key point and the key thesis to actually solve for infrastructure. Policy making, to my mind, has not harmonized this. It would really help, I think, to evolve an intra-Asia market if ASEAN could come together and actually create an Asia Clear. It would help somebody like PTT, it would help an issuer anywhere in the region or an investor anywhere in the world on this occasion. I think the other big criteria, I think, has been the consistency of policy making. In spite of the challenges, which you all have mentioned, my view, I think policymakers have been very consistent. They've been very patient. So all the pressures which you all have had with inflows in the last 3 or 4 years, not just Thailand, we face the same in almost every export surplus country that we go to, I think you all have been patient in seeing this flow come through. The quality of flow, the quality of investor base, which I've seen over the years, has improved a lot. Today you have pension funds from different parts of the world looking to invest in bonds. You have sovereign wealth funds, you have individuals looking to invest in these instruments. I picked up one point in the discussion, which is a point about awareness as to how do you match between a saver and an issuer? To me, the answer is actually very, very simple on this. You only invest in what you're comfortable in. You don't invest in what you're not comfortable in. And irrespective of whatever policy that one really creates, at the end of it, every investor will invest in what he or she finds comfortable to invest. And awareness is not a short-term story, it's a really long-term story. There needs to be effort made, whether by intermediaries like us or issuers like yourself. And a very simple suggestion to me would be, from my side would be, and I spoke to Datuk just before we came over here, one of the best issuers in Malaysia is Chagamas. To my mind, one of the most exciting developments in the region has been the evolution of the offshore RMB market. the creation of actually a nation currency as an issuance currency, just like how when Euro created, you had a vehicle, a single currency to create. If you look at why it has picked up in such significant activity and why it has picked up momentum, to my mind, is a few things. Number one, issuers have taken a lot of interest to reach out to investors across the region. The investors in the region, sir, they don't exist only in Japan, right? I mean, you would need to make a trip to Malaysia, you would need to make a trip to Singapore, you would need to make a trip to Taiwan, you would need to make a trip to Jakarta. I think, and it takes time and it takes effort. If issuers like yourself would take the lead, these are names which are recognizable, these are names which are valued. If Thailand would take a lead and issue a bond in Malaysia, if Malaysia would take the lead and issue a bond in Thailand as sovereigns, I think it is a much easier start to make than to ask somebody who is unknown, is probably known within the city, to actually go become an issuer somewhere else. I don't plan to take too long. I think we should open this up for questioning. I think, and I'll be more than happy to take any questions around how this works. But one last point which I would really like to make. I think the evolution of the market over the last decade has been excellent. I would really urge policymakers not to take steps back on this. We need to be patient on this process, because to my mind this is almost, I come from India, and one game which we follow a lot is a game called cricket, and in test matches we play over 5 days, which is 4 innings. It's a very long-term play, and there are periods where it could stress, there are periods where it would excite, it would help, but in the long term I think stability is really important in policy making. Thank you.
แม้ว่าตลาดพันธบัตรเอเชียจะสามารถขยายตัวได้ดีอย่างต่อเนื่องแต่นักลงทุนเองนะคะก็ต้องไม่ลืมที่จะติดตามประเด็นของการแก้ไขปัญหาเศรษฐกิจในประเทศหลักๆที่จะมีผลต่อเศรษฐกิจโลกอย่างในยุโรปสหรัฐอเมริกาแล้วก็ญี่ปุ่นค่ะเพราะว่าการเคลื่อนไหวของเศรษฐกิจของประเทศสำคัญเหล่านี้ล้วนส่งผลโดยตรงต่ออัตราการเติบโตของตลาดพันธบัตรในภูมิภาคเอเชียค่ะและสำหรับคุณผู้ชมท่านใดนะคะที่อยากจะติดตามรายการ Money Forum ย้อนหลังสามารถคลิกเข้าไปได้ที่เว็บไซต์ของ Money Channel ค่ะ www.moneychannel.co.th ค่ะวันนี้เวลาของรายการหมดลงแล้วนะคะดิฉันสินีนาถสวัสดิ์ภูลพร้อมทีมงานลาคุณผู้ชมไปก่อนขอบพระคุณสำหรับการติดตามสวัสดีค่ะ